So I went to go tell him, and a big guy grabs me by my arm and said, look, he had enough. I said, first of all, don't ever touch me or you look like him.
Hey, Anthony, where'd you get this podcasting stuff from?
It fell off the back of a truck.
Welcome back to another episode of the Breaking Bread podcast with Anthony Sciarrotta and myself,
How you doing?
Sal Valentinetti. I am so excited. We have the legendary Chuck Zito with us today. I mean, absolutely legendary.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
A career that's gone through so many seasons. You've been around since the 70s. You've been
Yes.
really, I mean, making a name for yourself since then, and still today. Your name is not only synonymous with pop culture but political activism. You're known worldwide in the fighting world.
Yes.
I trained with a boxing trainer, this guy Scooter Honig from Ozone Park, and he goes, Chuck Zito is the baddest motherfucker. you throw the hardest punches, and I mean, still, Chuck, if I could say, Chuck, you're 70 years old.
71.
You're 71?
71.
71, yes.
You look great.
Thank you.
You look great.
Chuck Zito's
Thank
70th birthday party last year, and
Yes.
I'm looking at this guy. He's got his communion picture right there.
Yes.
Which that was freaking awesome. We got to talk about that. But I'm looking at a guy who just doesn't age. And if anything, you age in reverse. I think with the handlebar mustache in Sons of Anarchy.
Son of Anarchy. That's right.
Yeah.
I remember watching that with my wife and thinking, Chuck looks younger now than he did then. Like, this is almost 20 years ago now.
Yeah, no, to have you here, Chuck, I asked Sal when we started doing this like podcast because he like mentioned that you were friends. I was like, do you think we can get Chuck? Because I'm honestly a huge fan.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I said, Chuck's a dear friend, and he's one of the nicest guys ever. You know, it's funny in doing the research for this, you know, and trying to get all the lines from your life. I'm looking at the comments on all the YouTube videos and all the Facebook posts, and I can't tell you the countless comments from random people saying, I met Chuck at UFC, I met Chuck at Mulberry Street Pizza in LA, I met Chuck here, I met Chuck there, and Chuck is the nicest guy ever. So now I know it's not just us. You really are a genuine guy.
I've been blessed. I have a lot of friends in my life besides my awesome family. And I remember 2 years ago, you know, you were gracious and kind enough not only show up, but to sing to my mom on her 90th birthday. And I'll always remember and cherish those moments.
Well, I love my mother, and I see the way you are with your mother.
Yes.
You know, and the way you put her on a pedestal. It's a beautiful thing.
We have to.
We have to.
They've done so much for us growing up that we...
Yeah.
Like good Italian boys.
Yeah.
Yeah. How was it growing up with your mom? Because she said to me she seems like a sweetheart, but she's got to be a tough cookie to have raised to have raised up Chuck Zito.
I remember when we lived on Barretto Street in the South Bronx. We lived right across the street from the Spofford home. And she used to tell me, if you're bad, you'll go right across the street. And I always remember that. You know,
Spofford home was
Spofford home was a juvenile home.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. Actually, years later, Mike Tyson was there for a while. But it wasn't called Spofford at the time. Back then, it was Spofford because it was right on Barretto Street and Spofford Avenue.
Yeah.
So it was called the Spofford Juvenile Home.
Well, and your sisters are older than you, younger than you?
Roseanne is a year older than me, and Cindy is 5 years younger than me.
Okay, so you're the middle child.
I'm the middle.
Yeah.
So I was always, not that I was spoiled, but I was always the middle child.
Well, especially the Italian boy.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And you know, named for your father.
Yes.
Was your father a good role model growing up? Was he tough on you?
Yes, he was tough. My father, if you know, he was a professional boxer in the 30s and the 40s.
And his boxing name was
Al LaBarbera.
Al LaBarbera.
LaBarbera.
Yeah.
His cousin was Fidel LaBarbera, was the flyweight champion of the world, so he took his name because my dad was 16 years old when he turned pro, so he wasn't old enough, so he took his cousin's name.
Wow.
So he named himself Al LaBarbera.
See, a lot of great guys come from that sort of lineage of Italian-American fighters, including Frank Sinatra.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's true.
His father was a welterweight boxer.
Yeah.
And you kind of wanted to follow in your father's footsteps, I think, for a while.
Well, I tried to. He never wanted me to fight, actually. So when I was old enough, I went into the Golden Gloves.
Yeah.
Well, I had my first ring fight I was 12 years old.
Wow.
12?
12 at the Southside Boys Club in New Rochelle.
And you probably kicked his ass.
So he never wanted me to fight, so I just did it. And, of course, he showed up. He was in my corner. So
Yeah.
And then after that, I went into the Golden Gloves 4 times. My first fight being in 1973.
That's right.
A while back. Then I went back in 78, 79, and 1980 went back in the Golden Gloves.
And you were a natural.
But I never turned pro.
But you were a natural.
Yeah, I think
natural born fighter. You had it. You definitely had it in you because you would just go right. You wouldn't even like train for fights. You would kind of just go and show up and kick ass.
The bad thing about it, I never wanted to go, train and do the road work and everything else. I told him, just tell me when the fight is, I'll be there.
Yeah.
So most of the times that's what happened. But like I said, I remember my father never wanted me to be the fighter, but and go through what he did. But you got to realize, back in the 30s and 40s, he used to fight for $10 a fight.
Wow.
And he used to fight 2-3 times a week.
Which is still only, everyone's thinking, well, it's the 30s and 40s. Adjusted for inflation. It's still only like $100,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but he had it rough, and like I said, he was. That's what they did. A lot of people.
Yeah.
Whether you were Jewish or Italian or Puerto Rican or black, everybody was a fighter back then. There was so many club fights that were never recorded. My father had 228 fights.
Wow.
In a 12-year, span.
Mm-hmm.
Guys today, they're fighting 25, 30 years. They've had 50, 60 fights.
Yeah.
Back then they were fighting 2-3 times a week. My father fought twice a night one time. You couldn't fight in the same state, so he went to Connecticut. He fought there, and he jumped on a train and came back and fought in New York.
The same night.
Yeah, same night.
Wow.
What was the toughest fight that you ever had? Like the toughest fight in the ring?
They were all tough fights in the ring, you know. You couldn't use your street stuff in there, but you had to go by the rules.
Right.
Pretty wild.
You had a stint as an announcer as well.
Yes, I used to announce the Affliction fights.
Yeah.
For Affliction. And I remember Gina Carano, who was really the first known woman champion, for the mixed martial arts. Mm-hmm. I announced her fight. And I said the day before, "You're so beautiful. Why are you fighting?" The next night, I got in there and says, "Because you can. I can tell you why you're fighting." She was tough. And she was actually the first superstar in mixed martial arts.
Yeah.
As far as the women go. And of course, after her, Ronda Rousey.
Yep.
But I'm involved in everything, man. I've done so many things in my life. I probably did so many. It'd take another guy 5 lifetimes to do.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
I was, boxer, martial artist,
an actor,
a stuntman, an actor, an author, a radio show host. I had my own radio show on Howard
several
Stern's
radio shows.
101, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
First for WVOX in New Rochelle, and then for Howard Stern's 101.
And if I may say so, unofficially, you are the creator of Sons of Anarchy. Let's face it.
Well, I believe I was, and I sued them for 2 years.
I believe you were.
Really?
Because
Hollywood didn't know about that world until Chuck Zito was there, and Chuck did Oz for 6 seasons.
5. I started the second season.
Sorry, right.
Second
5
season.
seasons.
So from 2 to 6. You
right.
know?
Chuck did Oz for 5 seasons.
Yes.
And start saying, "Hey, I got this. Why don't you do a show about biker clubs, about motorcycle clubs, MCs? Why don't you do a show about motorcycle clubs? Because there are so many interesting dynamics to it.
Yeah.
You had Sopranos just starting at the time, and you're drawing all the comparisons from how well spoken and well organized that sort of scene is, and there's so many parallels to a motorcycle club. How there's a lot of there's a lot of respect. There's a hierarchy that is really intent on keeping things on the straight and narrow.
Absolutely.
And
Camaraderie, and that's
camaraderie, right?
Brotherhood.
The main thing. And you got to realize, let's go back to Sopranos. Oz was the first show on HBO.
Yeah.
We started The Sopranos and Sex and the City and 6 Feet Under. It was Oz first.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I mean,
Oz led the pack.
Truthfully, it's funny that you said that, Sal, because Chuck, I watched every season of Sons of Anarchy. I actually thought, because like when you watch a show, you look up the characters and everything. I actually thought what you said, Sal, where I was like, Chuck having like an inside like look on this world. Like I thought you were like a consultant on the show or something like that, or in some like sort of regard.
Yeah. Well, there was a. David LaBrava was really the consultant on the show, but when I came in, Kurt Sutter would ask me a lot of questions, and I'd guide him the right way.
you had to set a lot of things straight.
Yeah, what happened was I was suing for 2 years because I went into FX. I gave him a show called Wild Angels that I wrote, and 2 weeks later, John Landgraf, actually his name, and Nick Rad were the vice president and president of FX. 2 weeks later, he came and says, "Well, we're not interested in doing a bike show." I said, "All right, that's Hollywood." So a year later, I went in and I called in different representation, and they said, "Look, we're already working on a bike show, so we can't take the meeting." I said, "Wait a minute, man. A year ago, you said you didn't want to do one. Where'd you get the idea from?" So I actually got the idea from me, and I still say that.
100%.
I lost summary judgment.
100%.
And you got to realize Kurt Sutter was working for them already on The Shield.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess he went and then said, "Let me do the show," and that's what happened. So I was suing them, and I lost summary judgment. A lawyer said I went in there with myself and my lawyer, and they came in with 5 different lawyers from 5 different law firms. And the judge says, "I don't think they stole Mr. Zito's idea. I go with the studios." Dismissed.
But they knew they were wrong.
Yeah, and what happened was I wanted to appeal it. Then my lawyer came a few days later. "Look, Kurt Sutter wants to talk to you, and for what?" He says, "Well, he wants to apologize to you and wants to put you on the show." And that's what happened. So I wound up dropping a lawsuit, never appealed it, and I went on the show.
You're evergreen because, from your first role, you have not stopped working as an actor. I think it's been pretty constant.
I hate to say it, but I should be working a lot more.
You should be.
I mean, I'm only doing, if it wasn't for Gravesend,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be working hardly at all.
You're back on for season 3.
Back on at season 3. I started in July. Actually, it just started, I think, yesterday. I think was their first shooting scenes.
Yeah, check out Gravesend on Amazon Prime.
Gravesend, it's great. I tell you, I give Willie DeMayo a lot of credit. He's a writer, he's a producer, he's the director, he's the star of it. I give him a lot of credit. And he's going around, and this year they have a Shaq on it. They have Talia Shire is going to be on it.
Yeah.
Last year is the same people coming back: Charles Palminteri and Armand Asante and Gina Gershon and Fran Dresner and Vinny Pastore. Everybody,
all stars.
Keeping great company.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So
how'd you get into bodyguarding in Hollywood? That's kind of like what I'm saying is that's your
I'll tell you,
way into that world.
I got to be honest with you. The Hells Angels is what opened the doors for me in Hollywood.
Yeah.
The president of New York City was a guy named by Sandy Alexander. He was the president of New York City Hells Angels. He was also a stuntman in the movie business.
Yeah.
And we did a movie back in, I believe it was 81, called Dead Ringer with Cher and Meatloaf. And they needed 18 guys to play, Meatloaf's, motorcycle crew.
Right.
So Sandy's hired all the Hells Angels. And we all had tuxedos on with the word Meatloaf on our back. And the funny part is, Meatloaf couldn't ride a motorcycle. So they had us all in the background, and they had him on a trailer with the bike.
That's
And
hysterical.
he's just sitting there. He's not giving any gas. He's not giving a clutch. He's not doing anything. He's just sitting there. And you see all of us behind him. So from that, I caught the stunt bug. I started doing stunts. Sandy Alexander was a stunt man. Back in the day, there was a big stunt coordinator called Alex Stevens.
Yeah.
Sandy used to do a lot of work with him. I started doing stunt work. And the next thing you know, I'm saying, looking around, I said, look, I could do what these guys do, these actors. And I became an actor.
Yeah.
So actually, my first series was the HBO series Oz.
You have a way of delivering a role that's very honest and very believable, and it's very palatable. And I think it's because, in a way, yes, you're acting. Certain roles call for certain things, but in a way, it's like you've lived all these lives. You were in Oz. You've been away. You've seen it all. You were in a motorcycle club. One of you were ahead of. You were in a position of great responsibility in the most famous motorcycle club in the world, the most well-known motorcycle club in the world.
Wait a minute. A position of great responsibility, just so I know. I need a little background. President?
He was the president.
I was the president of the New York Hells Angel Nomads.
Very, very cool.
It's not just the president of the New York Nomads. He basically was responsible for the inception of the New York Nomads. You brought guys together from Western New York all the way down to New Rochelle. Yeah,
a few guys from different charters we put together, and we started the Hells Angel Nomads.
Yeah.
Wow.
We left New York City because we had a lot of people there, and we split up and we started the Hells Angel Nomads, which covered the whole New York state.
Yeah.
It wasn't just one area, so we covered the whole state. What happened? But like I said, if it wasn't for Sandy Alexander and the Hells Angels, I would have never became an actor.
You were an iconic leader because you're living, you're doing your several different day jobs. And,
yes.
And at the same time, you're holding a club together. That's huge. It's one of the biggest charters in the country.
Yeah. It was an experience, that's for sure. And you got to remember the crazy thing about it, when I did 6 years in prison.
Yeah.
4 months in a Japanese prison.
Japanese prison.
And I was extradited from Japan to New York.
Yeah, Chuck was brought up in charges here, and you turned yourself in.
I actually surrendered to the American Embassy in Tokyo, Japan.
Yeah.
And they were supposed to put us on a plane the next
Talk about
day.
a stand-up guy.
To put us on a plane and face the charges we had in the United States. And they put us in a Japanese prison for 4 months waiting to be extradited.
What was that experience like?
That was really my first time I was in jail. I'm saying, holy,
I don't even look at people the wrong way when I'm traveling. I don't end up in any other prison anyway.
That's what went through my mind, too.
The worst prison in the United States is like a hotel compared to Japan.
Is that right?
Oh, absolutely.
Wow.
You don't get away with anything in Japan. And you walk outside. First of all, they have a little rubber mat like a foot wide. The first thing you do is come out of prison, out of your cell, and you put your nose against the wall. The whole tier. Nobody says anything, not a pin drop, And then the next thing you walk on this mat, single file, so you can't even hear anybody walking. Yeah, they don't mess around in Japan, I'll tell you that. There's not a lot of crimes in Japan.
That's right.
They're
serious people.
And I'm
people
saying, man, is this like this in New York? I got actually after 4 months and being extradited, I wound up going to MCC.
Yeah.
And they had pool tables, color TV, everything in there. So it's like a hotel here.
It's a country club.
It's a big difference.
It also makes a difference with who you know inside.
After I got out, and I was indicted for what they said was I made a telephone call to a guy who sold a pound of methamphetamine. They put me in a drug conspiracy, and that's what happened. I wound up getting 10 years for a phone call I never made. But that was it. And the crazy part about it, I went to, after I got out, a few weeks after I got out, I went with my friend, and we went to go see Brian Hamill. he was a photographer for all the movie sets, and we went to go see the Don King story, only in America. And 10 minutes into the theater, the camera breaks, so they turned the lights on, and everybody started mingling with each other. Brian brought me over to Tom Fontana, who was the creator and producer of Oz, and also Dean Winters was with him, who was one of the top stars of the show. And he goes, look, this Chuck Zito, he just got out of prison. Maybe he could be an advisor for the show.
At the very least,
yeah. So Tom looked at me and goes, you got a great face. Do you act? I says, of course.
What a compliment. You got a great face.
Yeah, I got a great face.
I was always told I had a face for radio.
And that's what happened. That's how I wound up getting on the show. Wow. And I actually read, and the guy's name was Sam Pancamo. When I got the part, they changed it to Chucky Pancamo.
That's right.
And that's what happened.
Now, you have a documentary coming out, right?
I have a documentary. We just showed it at the Beverly Hills Film Festival at the Grumman's Chinese Theater.
Yeah.
It was only an hour long, so I have to go back in a couple of weeks, and we have to add another hour to it for the for TV, the movie screen. Actually, Showtime, Amazon Prime, Lionsgate, and Netflix are interested in it.
Wow.
Already. And we're not even finished with it, so it's badass.
The autobiography was so
badass.
good, so it's like you're kind of like, wait,
Yes.
I want to see the sit down interviews with the people who've witnessed these events, who were there,
So there's like 20 celebrities talking on my behalf, plus another 20 friends.
Yeah.
In the documentary. And it's great. It came out great. I'm hoping to show it at the end of July in Long Island, actually, where we showed the Honor Amongst Men at the Belmore Theater there.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So
That's
I'll let everybody know. And,
that's a great theater. On Bedford Avenue in Belmore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We showed our the motorcycle movie we did called Honor Amongst Men.
It's awesome.
And I came up with a club called Satan's Few, and we used that in the movie. And then at the end of the movie, when I used all my friends, no actors, anybody.
Yeah.
And we used all my friends in it. So at the end of the movie, and they wanted to become a real club. So now there's a real motorcycle club called Satan's Few.
That's awesome.
Satan's Few Nomads in New Rochelle.
You still ride?
Oh yeah,
Right.
But not as much I used to, because back in the day when it was I'm out of the Hells Angels 20 years now.
Yeah.
And when you're in a club, you had to make certain runs and so many events and everything. I don't do that anymore, so I just ride at my own leisure.
Yeah, which, by the way, you said something that in itself is unique and incredible, is that you used to be in the Hells Angels. Now you're out of the club 20 years.
I was in. I was a member for 25 years, and I quit the club 20 years ago, actually.
Yeah.
20 years. Wow, time flies.
Yeah, man. And they the talk about having a lot of respect for somebody who's always constantly done what he can and done right for the club. They said thank you and live long and prosper, pretty much.
Yeah, I left and still on still see some people and talk to them and everything else. So
if you don't mind me asking, is that something that they allowed just you to do, or is that something
no,
if
you're out in good standing, you could quit the club and things like that. So a lot of people have.
Yeah. It basically means you did the right thing. You did the right thing by everybody. You were a productive member of the club, and that's a good thing.
That's behind me now. So, like I said, it's 20 years ago.
Now, one thing that I think is awesome about you, besides the fact that you are a genuine badass type guy, like you don't let nobody talk shit to you, which is that's awesome. Not a lot of people will go and chirp about that, like, oh, no one can talk shit about me. But you would actually stand up for yourself.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Anybody that disrespects me, we take it to the next level.
And besides that, besides that,
Who would be crazy enough to take it to the next level with Chuck Zito?
I could we could name a couple of people right now who famously stepped on Chuck Zito's toes and answered for it.
Yeah, the crazy thing about it, probably 8 months ago, I had 2 street fights.
Yeah, wow.
Really?
Fights, yeah. And it just happens. I mean, one was at a restaurant in New Rochelle, an Italian place we go to, and myself and my friend Mike, we went there for dinner. Had a great time, had a great dinner, had a great dessert. I was feeling good, and you know, I said, let me go to the men's room before I go home. So started to go to the men's room, and there was a long bar. The bar had to be 20 feet long, and there was a guy standing at the end of the bar, and he yells over, "Are you Chuck?" I says, "Oh, yes." And he goes, "I want to see you when you get out." So I'm saying to myself, guy sounds hostile, man, you know? And so I got out, and I went over to him, and he goes, "You're Chuck Zito?" I said, "Yeah." So I shook his hand. He goes, "Let me ask you something. If anybody disrespected you, your family, or your name, what would you do?" Can we curse on here?
Sure.
Yeah, 100%. You can say whatever you want.
Who knows? I don't know. Everybody has different rules.
No.
So I said that I would knock him the fuck out. He goes, "Exactly. You disrespected me, my family, and my name." I said, "Really?" I said, "Who are you?" He goes, "That's not the point right now. Here's my card. You're going to call me. We'll settle this outside this." I said, "No, fuck you and your card." I says, "You just said something."
Yeah.
I says, "Who are you?" He goes, I said, "What's your name?" He goes, "You said something about my great-grandfather on YouTube." I said, "Who's your great-grandfather?" "Marciano." I said, "Rocky Marciano?" He goes, "Yeah." I says, "I know exactly what I said about Rocky Marciano. I said he came along at a great era when he fought all old men.
Right.
He fought a 38-year-old, Jersey Joe Walcott.
Right.
Marciano was 26. Jersey Joe was beating him for 13 rounds until Rocky hits him right hand, knocks him out.
You didn't say anything untrue.
No. I
Yeah.
said he fought a 40-year-old Joe Louis.
Yeah.
I said a 42-year-old Izzy Charles and a 44-year-old Archie Moore. I said that. He goes, "Well, you know shit about boxing."
Oh, no.
I said,
Oh, no.
"I know shit about boxing." He goes, "Don't point your fucking finger at me." That was it. I says, "Really?" I said, "Let's go outside." I said, "Come outside." So we walked outside. I turned around. I said, "You got something to say? You want to do something?" He goes, "Hey, my time and my rules." And he ran back inside. Now I'm fuming, man. I ran back inside. I said, "Your time, your rules? Come outside, motherfucker. Come outside." And then everybody looked. Everybody was there, looking at me. Everybody in the whole restaurant. I said, "Shit." So then the owner came. He goes, "Look, guys," I say, "mind your business." I said, "You come outside."
Good.
Went outside. I turned around. I said, "Your time and your rules." Bam, I bitch slapped him.
Nice.
I knocked him out with a bitch slap.
Wow.
He was unconscious.
Open-handed level.
Boom. So I should have ended it there, but I was so mad I hit him a right hand, left hook, and a right hand as he
Wanted
was
him to
unconscious.
remember it the next day.
With that, he fell against the restaurant door. Nobody could get out. But what happened was when I slapped him, like 4 guys were walking by, young guys, big guys too. And they stopped. They watched. So he wound up coming to. He staggered, fell down again. Staggered, fell 3 times. So the guys picked him up. So I went to go tell him, and the big guy grabs me by my arm and said, "Look, he had enough." I said, "First of all, don't ever touch me or you look like him."
That's right.
So he let me go. I walked over. They put his head up. He had a broken nose. Both eyes were cut. I'm looking at myself. I'm going to jail. This guy's going to sue me. I'm getting arrested. What the fuck did I do? And I told him, I said, "You said I know nothing about boxing? Well, you just found out I do."
That's right.
My friend Mike gave me my cell phone, and I went like 50 miles to my sister's in Hot Bog. If the cops come to my house, I'm not there.
I need to stay here for a couple of days.
So I'm saying, what did I do? For an hour, I was beating myself up in the car. I'm going to get arrested. I'm going to get sued. I'm going to do this for an hour. Finally, I got there. My sister said, "What are you doing here? It's late." Are you crazy? Are you crazy? The next day I went home, figured the cops were there. I got to admit, the guy did not call the cops.
Right.
He took his beating, and that was it.
Who did you bodyguard for in Hollywood? I know you
It's
threw
who
a couple
haven't I
names.
bodyguard for?
Yeah.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
It's who I haven't a
And
body.
his range is crazy. You know, like
Liza Minnelli was my first client.
Wow.
Well, actually, she hired me to watch her half-sister, Lorna Luft. And then, of course, Liza hired me. And then once everybody saw me with Liza, I just started getting calls and just started bodyguarding everybody. Back in the 80s and the 90s, it was known as the bodyguard to the stars.
That's right. Pam Anderson.
Everybody.
Pam Anderson?
I even bodyguarded Charles Bronson.
That's right.
Who was an original Hollywood tough guy.
Wow.
He was badass.
Yeah?
Badass. He had that swagger about him. I went to go meet him at the airport. This is when you were allowed to go to the gates.
Right.
Before all this 9/11 stuff happened. And I remember years ago, before 9/11, I never even used my real name. I used any name on a ticket. You didn't have to show ID, nothing.
Were you ever starstruck by like anyone in specific? Like, was there anyone that you met you were like, oh my God?
I was invited to Liza Minnelli's four-year wedding, anniversary, to a guy named Mark Gero. And she goes, we're having a few friends over. Just come. I'd love you to come. I said, okay, great. So I show up on my motorcycle, and, like I said, I was in the club. I always had my patch on. And I had all white leather on. White leather, red, white, and blue fringe, white pants, white shoes. I had a red and white bandana around me.
That's pimp.
And I pulled up right to, she lived at 150 East 69th Street. I pulled up right to the front, put my bike right there, walked inside. He says, can I help you? I says, yeah, I'm here to see Liza Minnelli. He's looking at me. So he calls up. And, he goes, oh, yes, ma'am, yes. And he goes, okay, 12th floor. So I started walking. I went back, and I said, 12 what? She had the whole floor.
Yeah, the whole floor.
The whole floor. It's amazing.
12A, B, C, no, 12.
I walk in there, and it was like it was at the Academy Awards.
Yeah.
De Niro, Pacino, Joe Pesci, who else was there? Everybody. It was just crazy. And then Lucille Ball.
Yeah.
Diana Ross. At the time, Flashdance was out, so Jennifer Beals was there. Christopher Walken, Liberace, Halston. Everybody was there, and I walked in there, and I'm saying to myself, oh, she's having a few guests over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like in awe. I'm saying, wow, look at all these people. And yet, a lot of people came up to me because, like I said, they saw I was Hell's Angels, so they all started, saying hello and everything.
You're
and
now the most interesting guy in the room.
It was just amazing. And when she says I'm having a few people over, it was like the Academy Awards going off.
That's the regard that Liza has always held you
Yes.
in, is on the same level as all those people. She wants you at the same party, at the same gathering. You're one of her friends. And that speaks a lot to how, all those comments I was mentioning before on all the social media stuff and looking through all the people who've met you and have had great experiences meeting you. You're a genuine guy. You're a real good guy. And I mean, if anyone can see it, I'm sure Liza Minnelli can.
It's just you know what? So I treat people the way I want to be treated, with the utmost respect and friendly. And I'm friendly to everybody, show everybody respect until they show me otherwise.
That's right.
And if that happens, then we take it to the next level, and they find out it wasn't a good thing to do. So.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they never do it again.
No.
I'm sure that guy from that restaurant, Marciano the Fourth, he's never gonna speak that way to somebody. And
No
call,
shot.
And call
No
someone
shot.
out like that.
It was just crazy.
You taught him better.
The second fight I had was, just as crazy. The guy was maybe 29 years old and like 6'3". And I was I was paying my Verizon bill.
Yeah.
In Verizon.
I don't mean to laugh, but I feel like he's just trying to mind his own business. This guy.
I'm paying
He just wants
my bill.
to pay his bill in cash.
Yeah, I know.
Talking to like we're sitting here, your manager, and I'm talking. I'm thinking about getting a different phone, an iPhone, and we're talking, and we were only ones in there. It was a long haul, long store, and the bell went off when you opened the door. So I turn around and I see this guy come walking in. And I'm talking to the manager. I turn around, and he's standing maybe 10 feet away from me. So I looked at him again, and he's there with his hands crossed looking at me in the eyes. And I'm like,
oh, wow.
So I turn around, manager. I'm talking to the manager again. I turn around again. Same thing, looking
Just
straight at me.
staring at you.
The third time, looking straight at me, I got up and I said, "You got a problem, man?" He goes, "Yeah, I got a problem." He goes, "You know what? 4 years ago, when you were doing a movie here, I tried to say hello to you, and you disrespected me and walked away." I said, "First of all, that's bullshit, because I say hello to everybody.
That's right.
I take pictures if they ask me. I sign autographs if they ask me, so you're full of shit. If I was you, I'd get out of the store."
That's right. I've been out to dinner with Chuck. He gets up immediately.
So
that's what he has to do. He's a great guy.
He walked out the door. The manager goes, "You know that guy?" I said, "I don't know that guy." And we're talking. We're going through my phone and everything else. The bell goes off again. I look, the guy's there again. I said, "You know what? Let me just walk outside." And it was a small shopping area, a small mall, and the cars were like 10 feet away, parked. So he's, "Let me walk you outside, because this guy looks crazy, right?" So I walk outside, and the guy backs up. He puts his hands up. He goes, "Hey, fuck you, Chuck Zito. You want to fight? We'll fight right now." So I start going towards him. Now he's running backwards.
Yeah.
I said, "You know what? Have a nice day." And I walk to my car. The guy goes, the manager says, "Leave him alone. That guy's crazy." So I walk in my car. I start my car up, ready to back up, and the guy's banging on my window. And I said, "That's it.
No. Cross the
That's
line.
it." Now I get out of my truck. And I said to him, I'm looking up at him, I said, "Didn't I tell you to leave me alone?" Boom, I bitch slap him. He went halfway down. I said, "Well, look, he's too tall." I swept him. I took him down. Boom, 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 boom. Gave him a hamburger face, and that was it.
Hamburger face.
So what happened was, I said, "Here we go, another time. I'm going to get sued, the cops and everything." That's all I think about, right? I'm saying, I got to stop this. I can't hit nobody anymore, because eventually I will be sued. And I left. I went up the car wash up the street. I'm inside the car wash. And, of course, people called the cops and everything else. So the cops went there, and nothing happened. I'm waiting for my house again, And I went the next day. I went to the guy. I said, "What happened?" He goes, "Look, the police came. They looked at the video and saw he was harassing you like 4 times and said he deserved it."
Yeah.
And that was it. So
You
that's
defended
twice.
yourself.
That's twice.
You know, I remember a story. You know, this predates Jean-Claude Van Damme. It was a reporter who basically wrote a slap piece against you.
Oh, AJ Benza.
Came up with bullshit, and it was all bullshit.
Yeah.
And most people, you know, in Hollywood, because this is where you're at now. You're among all these Hollywood people.
Yeah.
This guy AJ Benza can go and talk shit about anybody, and they're never gonna approach him about it. Maybe they'll look the other way, or like they'll disrespect him at a red carpet or something. But that's not Chuck Zito.
Yeah.
That's not who you are. That's not the fiber of your being. Someone's talking shit about you. Someone is denigrating your character.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
What happened with that? AJ decided to write an article because he had the TV show. I forgot what it was
Doesn't matter.
called.
Not
It doesn't
on
matter.
anymore.
And he was also a writer for the, I believe it was the Daily News.
Yeah.
And he wrote an article, and he goes how a Hell's Angel came up to him in Scores to give him the dirt on Shawn Penn.
Yeah.
Now, I'm the only Hell's Angel that went to Scores.
That's right. And you're the only Hell's Angel who's close enough to
So-
Shawn Penn.
He wrote, I like Shawn Penn, so what happened was my friend Johnny C calls me. He goes, "You see the Newsweek, the magazine?" I said, "No." "Go get it." So I read this thing, and now I'm livid. I said, "That's it." I jump on my motorcycle. I went right down to, a lot of times he went to Rayo's. I went to Rayo's first. He wasn't there. From there, I went to Scores. I pull up on the motorcycle, and he's right in the lobby. And he saw me. He ran back in. So Johnny Saliano, who's Goomba Johnny now, he was the manager there. He goes, "Chuck, what's going on?" I said, Where's AJ? He goes, "He just ran that way." He goes, "Look, do me a favor," because I knocked out a few people and Scores right. "Go in my office, will you?" That's okay. So I grab him. I take him in the office. I got the magazine. I don't know if it was Newsweek or Time. It was one of those. And I pulled it out. He goes, it was Newsweek. I said, what is this? He goes, oh, that's Newsweek magazine. I said, what's this article here where you said somebody came up to you and gave you the goods on Shawn Penn? First of all, Shawn Penn's my client. He's a dear friend. When did I ever talk? He goes, well, I thought I overheard you. You overheard me talking about my friend? Talking bad about my friend?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Boom. I hit him a right hand, knocked him unconscious. He was out for like a good 4 minutes. And then my friend Johnny opened the door, saw him laying there. He closed the door. He wouldn't let nobody in there.
The best.
Finally, he came to. I said, let me tell you something. I was going to put you in a coma tonight and put you in a hospital.
Yeah.
Okay? I said, what you're going to do now is you're going to retract this story. Do you hear me? Okay. I said, I have your word as a man. He goes, yes, you do. I said, okay, go wash up. I'll buy you dinner. And I bought him dinner.
A true gentleman.
What happened was he put in the paper the next day. He goes, I didn't like getting reprimanded by a Hell's Angel. But, but the truth is I'm still drinking, eating through a straw. I thought that was pretty cool.
That was pretty cool.
So, but we became friends after that night. I mean, after I cracked him, I bought him dinner.
Chuck is not just legendary for his acting roles, for his history with bodyguarding, history with Hollywood, his history as the Hell's Angel president. He is one of the coolest car guys to ever roll on the seat. He's got some cars.
Really?
Oh,
Tell
dude.
me about this. I can't wait.
First of all, the Beast from the East is arguably the most famous.
Yeah.
It's
Beast from the East.
It's a 50s Bel Air Gasset. Tell him about it.
1957 Chevy Bel Air.
Yeah.
I've had it 47 years.
Wow.
I had it 20 years as a complete bone stock car, 283 automatic. And then 20 years later, I made it a gasser and put a bone 454 in there. 850 horsepower motor in there. And it's been like that for 27 years now. So I have a few cars. Actually, a friend of mine, Tony, just bought my 63 Impala and my 1930 all-steel Model A coupe.
Yeah, really cool.
Staten Island. And he just bought that, and he's having fun with it. I have a 1970 Chevelle Super Sport.
My God.
454.
That's
LS6.
probably the closest car to stock.
Yeah, probably. I have a 68 Dodge Charger.
Gorgeous car.
528 all aluminum Hemi with a 5-speed Tremec.
Yeah.
I have a 51 Merc.
The lead sled.
Yeah. So I still have the 4 cars left.
Yeah.
The Chevelle and the 57 Chevy and the Merc and my Charger.
Well, Chuck, I can't wait to see what's next for you in pop culture. I think there's still a tremendous future for you. I think that to take a line from Frank, the best is yet to come.
The best is yet to come.
Yeah.
You know what? I live life every day.
Yeah.
Like it's my last, so that's what you got to do is just enjoy life. My family's the most important thing to me, and my mom is actually 92 now. I go to see her all the time, and
God bless.
Have great nieces and nephews, and I just have a great time with them, and I enjoy seeing them grow up, and I'm, like I said, I'm blessed with a lot of dear friends and a lot of fans out there. I'm blessed, and thank you for following me and everything. And
where can they get your merch, by the way? Because you have some of the best merch I've ever seen.
You could go on Italian Bad Boy Apparel.
Italian Bad Boy Apparel. Check
Italian
it out.
Bad Boy Apparel, and get some. My sister actually runs it now, and
that's awesome.
Keep it in the family.
That's great.
100%.
So,
well, Anthony, got any questions?
No. I mean, we're really happy to have you here, Chuck. Really.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On behalf of Anthony and myself, thank you.
And thank you. And again, thank you for singing to my mom on her 90th birthday.
Are you kidding me?
2 years ago. Now she's 92.
You let me know. You let me know whenever you want me to come sing for your mother. I'm there.
Thank you so much.
Especially your sister lives so close to us. We're in Bayshore now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
My sister lives in Hauppauge.
Yeah, about 10 minutes away.
My niece lives in Comac.
Oh, wow.
Wow. That's what my parents are.
Anthony's
just about
father's
to move
moving to
to.
Comac.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
Look at this.
So, And
So
actually,
Chuck's coming over for a barbecue, is what?
yeah, absolutely. I'm going to barbecue. And tonight I'm going to Tiramisu. I'm meeting my friend Rob Versatility out there, and
Awesome.
And the Carrazzo brothers. They sing every Wednesday night, so we're going to enjoy the evening too.
Beautiful.
Have some good food.
Awesome.
Go out there. I was with our friend Johnny Villa.
Yeah.
On Monday at his
The lake house.
lake house.
Yeah.
And that was my first time seeing it.
Lake Mayapack.
Wow.
It's beautiful up there.
Ah, I couldn't
Really
believe
is.
it.
What a gem.
Sounds good to me.
Chuck, thank you so much.
Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you. Thank you. Always a pleasure.
Badass.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Of course.
And thank you, everybody. Ciao.